Good morning, and I want to welcome you to the first of my 7 steps to blast through barriers. Essentially, what we're going to be doing is using creative exercises to clear out blockages in each of your 7 energy centers. And today, I'm going to start with a basic biomedical energetic view of the 7 major energy centers, and of course then also the minor energy centers. And I'm going to talk about some very important questions to ask yourself to work on to clear out chakra number 1. Okay, the essentially the most essential one. So welcome. My name is Victoria Leo. You can find out all about me by going to soaringdragon.biz, B-I-Z, or if you love Facebook as much as I do, go to my group, Healing Minds, Healing Bodies. I also am very active on Pinterest, and you can find me on LinkedIn. But I'm going to let you go ahead and explore and read all that. I don't have a desire to waste your time telling you how wonderful I am right now. Okay, I will tell you just a couple of little facts. I've got, for those of you who are very, very science oriented, I've got 2 master's degrees, one in biology and one in psychology. I'm a college professor of many years standing. There's very little on those subjects that I'm unaware of, so I stay in touch with all the latest research in order to do my work. Okay, for those of you who are focused on the instead of the biomedical, the more energetic way of thinking about things, I have been a Reiki master for 25 years. Yasui, Holy Fire, Karuna. I've done and taught tapping. I am a licensed mental health professional, and like many licensed mental health professionals and even doctors today, I am very, very aware of what Reiki and other spirit kind of energetic things can do. So we got all that basic stuff covered. Great. Let's get into it. So, and I do promise you that before the next broadcast, I am going to figure out how to add slides so you don't have to look at my boring face the whole time. I'll let you look at boring pieces of paper. Okay. So the sort of the biomedical energetic view of things is that energy needs to flow through your body. And if it gets blocked in a particular place, then you'll have problems both upstream and downstream of that place. For example, if I have things that I'm not saying to a loved one, I'm feeling things, I need to speak up for myself more, or I've been really poisonous with my tongue. I need to stop. Or that's like putting it out there, and it's not good. But if there are things that I need to say that I'm not saying, there can be an energetic blockage in my throat. I could be finding myself constantly getting headaches, subject to problems, upstream of this blockage. I can also, because the blockage causes a weakness, I could end up with a lot of sore throats or some other problem in this area. Okay. Now, please understand, I am not saying, not saying that if you have an illness or a problem in a particular area, that it has nothing to do with medicine or injuries or diseases that arise from other causes, that there has to be some kind of emotional issue involved. That's not true. It's so blatantly and obviously provable with data, not true. And I am a data-driven person. The reason I am so enthusiastic about Reiki, the reason the American Medical Association has said Reiki is wonderful for pain and for anxiety, is because we've got data. We've got actual provable, data that it works. You don't have to believe in it. It just works. It's like aspirin. You take one, your headache goes away. Most of the time. Some people, aspirin has no effect on. Okay. And the same thing with Reiki. Some people, absorb all this Reiki energy and they're still in pain. So, the reason, I believe in things is because there's data to support it. I don't believe in things for which there's no data to support it. So, do not misunderstand what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if there is something that you're not saying, either you're being poisonous, or there's things that you're not saying that you need to say, get this stuff out. Say it. Tell your husband how you really feel. Speak up to your mother-in-law. Don't be a pushover with your kids. Whatever the issue is. Talk to your boss about, politely, respectfully, about getting a raise with all the logical reasons why you deserve one, the work that you do, okay? But if there's things that you're not saying that need to come out, you could end up with a problem here, or someplace where the energy is bouncing around because it can't flow. Okay, a lot of people get headaches when there's something that they need to say. Now, there's a whole bunch of reasons why you could get headaches because of that, but here, this is the energy explanation. All right. So, and other things, right? If you're, for example, a lot of women, we get socialized to give, to that we're not allowed to say, hey, I need to go to the gym, or I need a girls' night out, or I need to just be left alone for 20 minutes, just go away. We're socialized to think that that's selfish. And we don't have time to get into all the reasons why that's not healthy, but suffice it to say, a lot of women are not taking care of their heart energy center. They're not taking care of their energy here, right? Their heart. You have to start with self-love. You have to take care of yourself. You have to give yourself what you need: rest, attention, love, right? You have to give yourself what you need. Otherwise, there's going to be a hole in this energy center, and the energy flows and it gets to your heart and just flows out, and it doesn't wash through the rest of your body. Okay, so you can have these big gaping, you can have blockages, you can have big gaping holes where the energy just leaks out and you lose it. You don't have the energy for yourself, for the self-healing, repair of your body. And that's, from the energetic perspective, that's why if you don't take care of yourself, you're going to get sick. From the medical perspective, if you don't take care of yourself, you're suppressing your immune system. Okay, so from a biological medical perspective, that's what's happening. Same process leading to illness. Okay, so one of the things that I want you to keep in mind as you contemplate, oh, none of that stuff is important, I don't want to bother about it. Yeah, I've got some concerns, I've got some questions, there's things I haven't done and haven't said, but who cares? Okay, I've got more important things on my mind. You probably do, but please understand that these little things that you're labeling as not important enough to really pay attention to. These are little holes, little holes in the bucket. The water's not going to go gushing out all at once, but those leaks over time will empty the bucket. So from an energetic perspective, there really aren't any issues that are too small for you to pay attention to. So by all means, pay attention to the big issues first. But don't try to sweep these little things under the rug thinking that they don't matter, because they do. And if you have enough of them, you'll end up with no water in your bucket. Okay? So this has been just a quick introduction. The 7 steps to blast through the barriers using creativity to clear out your chakras. Excuse me, allergies, is a full day class. But we're gonna do it in quick little snippets, and just so that you understand, it's I get into more detail about the blockages and the leaks, and detecting them and clearing them. We're not going to spend as much time on that, just to move things along. So why am I so, I'm constantly telling my clients, if you sign up for one of my packages, you are going to end up hearing me do at least a small pitch for creative expression. Creative expression, all those things that you tell yourself you don't have time to do in addition to exercising, don't get me started. Creative expression patches the leaks, puts energy back into you, and is one of the most important roads to health, productivity, and if you're an entrepreneur like me, income. People say, oh, what's the magic formula, the magic marketing formula that's going to get me, money to put in my kids' college fund? And I say, paint. Buy coloring books. Get fine art pencils. Do something creative every single day. And for me, a lot of my creativity goes into crochet. I create things with my own 2 hands. I make clothing for myself. I make housewares. I make gifts. And I do some things that help clear out my first energy center, which is what we're going to talk about today. So, and please understand that the things that I'm talking about in this seminar and in the 6 that are going to follow, if you sign up for them, you are, I'm not trying to put ideas in your head, but you're almost definitely going to spark pushback in at least some of them, because there are a lot of beliefs and habits. It's a lot harder to be courageous. That's why we give medals for it, right? When I keep talking to people about courage, it's not because it's easy. It's because it's hard, and I know it's hard, but we are Homo sapiens, and we have accomplished amazing things. Our ancestors walked from Central Africa to the tip of Tierra del Fuego. Our ancestors encountered animals and poisonous plants and the unfairness and enmity of neighbors who enslaved them. Our ancestors endured so much and came through it with courage and dignity. And you cannot stand there and tell me you have not got the guts to do whatever it is that you need to do in your life, because you are the descendant of heroes. Keep telling yourself that. You are the descendant of heroes. Okay? So let's plunge in to the first chakra. Okay? The first energy center. Now, the people who developed this energy system were in the habit of sitting on a cushion or sitting on the bare ground. India was not a culture, at that time, that had chairs. Cushions are just as comfortable, in many cases more comfortable. Excuse me. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Sorry. Didn't take enough allergy meds this morning, apparently, or something's blooming that. Anyway, so the first energy center is in the part of your body that would be right smack on the ground, or with a cushion, right smack on the ground. Okay. If I were developing an energy system, the first chakra would be at the bottom of my feet, because that's what I currently have on the ground. Okay. So the base of your spine, or what's known medically as the perineum, the space between your legs, essentially, is the first energy center, right? That's the place where you connect either with the ground directly or through your legs and some minor energy centers with the ground, okay? So it is the first place where you connect with ground, okay? In Karuna Reiki, we do a lot of grounding exercises on the feet because we're Americans and we sit in chairs, and also because your feet are how you encounter the ground when you're walking. Okay, but anyway, the first energy center at the base of your spine, what it's related to energetically is issues of physical survival. So if you're on a diet, you're on a food plan, you've decided you want to change how you eat, and not for a short period of time, but this is for the rest of your life. You're going to stop eating certain things and start eating fruits and vegetables. You're going to eat less grain. You're going to eat more veg. And by the way, I have a wonderful cookbook called 101 Healthy Meals in 5 minutes or less. Just look for my name, Victoria C. Leo, and 101 Healthy Meals in 5 minutes or less at Amazon, or go to your local bookstore and they can order it for you, or you may even find it on the shelf. Designed for people who hate to cook but want to eat healthy and don't know what to make, like recipes, and don't want to spend a lot of time on prep. Okay, so 5 minutes of prep, and then you stick it in the oven, set the timer, come back, bam, dinner. So anyway, so say you're on a new eating plan, and you can't seem to get yourself to go. You're so resisting it, and through meditation, you realize that you're afraid of being hungry. Hungry feelings cause a panic reaction. Now, you might, like in my case, have events in your past that could spark that, or it might just be coming out of God knows where. One of the things that you can do is creative activities, and also using Reiki on your first chakra, because that's where your survival fears reside. If you are a non-income earning spouse and you've come to the conclusion that life with your spouse is unsafe or untenable, but you're afraid to file for divorce because you don't have an income, you don't have the skills, you don't think to, in this very difficult job environment, to be able to earn enough to support yourself. Maybe you live in a very expensive town, Seattle, San Francisco, Honolulu, Los Angeles, New York City, and you look at the situation and say, how could I possibly live on anything that I could make on minimum wage, right? And what's happening is your survival fears are kicking in. That's the first chakra, the first energy center. Physical survival fears. There's also emotional survival fears. If, for example, a friend of mine told me recently that she's really lonely, and instead of doing the hard work necessary to find a good single guy, she's decided to go after a married guy and try to seduce him into leaving his wife because he's a wonderful guy. Well, if he allows himself to be seduced and leave his wife, then he's not a good guy. But she's got emotional survival fears. She doesn't want to be 65 years old and alone. She's convinced she's not going to be able to find somebody single. Of course, she hasn't really tested that hypothesis, but anyway, she's decided. She's lonely. She's in a new town. I know this. She just moved into a new town. She doesn't know a lot of people. She's lonely. That's what the real problem. And so she's got first chakra emotional survival fears. You may be in some kind of a relationship that is not going well, that is not nurturing you, but you don't want to leave because you don't want to be alone, right? Because of course, somebody who doesn't have an intimate partner has to be alone and lonely. Not true. When I was single, I had a wide network of friends. I had people to go have dinner with every night of the week if I'd wanted to. So it's work though. It's work. That's why I started this conversation with you on the subject of courage. You are the descendant of heroes. Don't forget that. Okay? I've got a class called Meet Your Biological Ancestors, and you're going to meet if you take that class, you'll meet all of them. The heroes and the rogues and everybody else. But it is an immensely powerful journey. Okay. Now, so there are also some physical problems that tend to arise if you don't take care of. Now, remember, I said tend. It's not the only reason these things can happen. Okay. If you sprain your back, you're going to get a backache. All right. It doesn't have anything to do with energy. Okay. Or, we could argue about that. But anyway, so there are some body parts that can be impacted if you're not taking care of this energy center. All right. So things that the base of the spine is connected to the rest of the spine. So the lower spine. Right now, so many people, it's just part of our biology that people are going to be having back pain. So don't consider that definitive on this. But there's also the other part of emotional survival is issues of identity. Who am I in my family of origin, the family that I grew up in, and the culture that I grew up in? Have I been taking steps to move away from that identity for good and sufficient reasons? Maybe it's holding me back too much. How do I remain connected in the ways that are healthy for me and move away from maybe an unhealthy diet or poor boundaries or whatever was bedeviling um, the way you were brought up. Okay, so now your primary identity may not be your family of origin. It may be your primary identity, maybe as the husband, father, mother, wife in a new family. What's um, biologists, psychologists call the family of reproduction, right? Anthropologists actually probably came up with the term first, but anyway, who cares? A lot of people these days, in these polarized times, feel that their primary identity is not as not as an individual in the family tribe, but as an individual in the ethnic tribe, right? So I think of myself as a gay or lesbian or black or Hispanic or Greek or whatever, fill in the blanks. Okay, whatever cultural, ethnic, religious, um, you know, group, tribe you primarily identify with could be your primary identity that you have these issues with. Okay, for positive and for negative. Okay, but that would be what is manifesting in this first energy center, right? And the things that you need to clean out, clear out. If there's a lot of anger, if there's a lot of resentment relating to any of these issues, or fears. Um, if you've got fears for your loved ones, right? If you have a family member who's in war, who's in a dangerous occupation, a police officer or something, then this fear can manifest as, holes in the bucket in the first chakra. Okay, so now there are some other. There's a technical term that I need to teach you so that a lot of things make sense in this class. All right. So a group of psychologists did some experiments with rats. We're not allowed to experiment with cocaine. Give people cocaine, get them addicted to cocaine. That's an ethical violation. So what we do is we get rats addicted because at this point in history, there's no ethical reason why people aren't allowed to do that. So what they did was in the midst of all this, getting rats addicted and then trying various ways to get them unaddicted, what they did was they had some unaddicted rats who had a choice of either drinking morphine, which would get them, woo, feeling no pain, feeling happy, or just plain water. And the rats there was one environment where the rats went with the water, and there was one environment where rats went for the morphine. And you can probably guess which was which. So the rats that were either all crowded together, so fighting, lots of fighting, and not enough space, and bare metal cage, and just the rat equivalent of some of our lives, unfortunately. Those were the ones that went for the morphine. When your life is just full of pain, it's intolerable, it is understandable why so many people would prefer to just be numb. Okay? Human beings, as well as rats. Okay? However, the rats that were in nice, comfortable space, they had sex partners to create families and raise little baby rats with. exercise wheels, nice food, comfy bedding, everything that a rat, and some, same-sex buddies to hang out with. The girls like to hang out with other girls. Um, the researchers refer to this as rat park. This was the ideal rat existence. These rats were happy. They drank the water. They tasted the morphine, was like, and they drank the water. Even when the researchers laced the morphine with sugar, so it tasted sweet, the rats took one lick and they went to the water because they didn't need to numb themselves out. They were happy. So the key here is, and I've used this in a lot of my classes and programs. Make your life be as much like Rat Park as you possibly can, and it will be so easy to resist dessert or alcohol or shopping. You don't need retail therapy if you're happy. If you've got everything that you need, all your emotional needs are being taken care of on most days, then you don't need to have things to numb you out. So I wanted you to know about Rat Park because I'm going to ask a series of questions. So if you want, close your eyes. Just listen. And as answers bubble up, don't force your thinking. This is not for your thinking mind. This is for your unconscious mind to bring things to the surface. Okay? So, questions to ask. And I mentioned this before. First one, who am I in relation to my family of origin? Am I loved and admired and respected? Am I the black sheep? Am I the ideal, the ideal daughter? Am I closely connected and happy? Am I just loosely connected and happy with that? Etc. Do I have concerns for the future? Do I have parents that are aging and no clear path as to what they're going to do? Then second question, who am I in relation to my most emotionally important tribe? And remember, that could be your ethnic group, it could be your religious identity, it could be your family of origin, it could be your family of reproduction, or simply your spouse. Who are you in relation to that? And if your most important emotionally connected tribe is your Jewish identity, that doesn't mean that you don't love your spouse or that your number one priority isn't her or him. It just means that your identity is wrapped around being Jewish rather than being a husband. Okay, identity. And then the third question, which has two parts, is how safe do I feel physically? How safe do I feel emotionally? Now, when I'm alone in the house, 2:00 in the morning, and I hear ghostly tapping at the window, I do get an adrenaline surge. Before I realize, oh, that's the tree branch, I really do need to go cut that, go clip that. I'm not talking about momentary things like that. I'm talking about in general. How safe do you feel physically? How safe do you feel emotionally? Do you have people who nurture you? And I mean really, really nurture you. Are you important, really, really important to people? Are there people in the world who would make themselves uncomfortable, who would tell off other people to protect you? You know, that's what being emotionally safe is. Knowing that you're more important than, the ideology du jour or whatever. Okay. Fourth question, and this is a really important, difficult one, so you might want to write it down if you haven't been writing these other ones down. Write this one down. Have I been giving away my power to my tribe or to my family of origin? Am I letting my ethnic group, my political party, my group, the people, the pals that I hang around with, am I letting them make my decision for me? Am I surrounded by people who are racist and intend voting for a racist candidate? And I'm going to go into the voting booth and do what my conscience tells me. But am I not standing up for people who are being abused by saying out loud, this is not okay with me. You cannot talk like this when you're around me. And if you continue, I'm going to leave. Are you giving away your power? And that was just one example. How close to Rat Park is my current life? Specifically with respect to my emotional survival needs. Okay, that's what I was talking about. You have people that will defend you and protect you and for whom you are really important. And that's how you feel emotionally safe. Yeah. And the last question is, do I fear physical annihilation? And there's multiple parts to this, not just, am I afraid my husband's going to murder me, or am I afraid I'm going to get, shot in a drive-by on the way to the grocery store, or something of that sort. It's also, do I have a fear that about death? Yeah. In this culture, we don't talk about death. It's not a natural and normal part of life. We brush over it. If somebody expresses any concerns, if they're a member of your religious group, they say, oh, no, 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 you're going to heaven, God will take care of you, blah, 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 and change the subject, right? And they're horrified that you would say anything, right? So if this is going on for you, if there's something going on that question, you could be having either a blockage or a weakness, a gushing weakness in the first chakra. Okay. So what we're going to do next is a project, a little project, a creative project. And because we're not together in the same physical location in this, way of doing things, I can't hand you clay or, something to work with. So I'm going to let you, and of course you can pause this and go get things, go to the store, or go to the kitchen or whatever, and then come back. Okay. So what you're looking for is something three-dimensional. We're going to create something three-dimensional with our hands. And the more hands-on you get with it, like clay is a good one. The other thing is I keep old calendars and pretty pictures, because when I want to do a first chakra activity, they're wonderful. I want to show you something that I did without having a plan. What I did is I had an old calendar, and in addition to the full page pictures, most calendars have a 12 little pictures, right? To show you what all the months look like, right? And so I had an old calendar, and I cut out all 12 of those, and I was just swirling them around, and I knew I wanted to make something three-dimensional with it. And I had glue, and I had Scotch tape, and I just did a meditation, and I started taping, and I taped 2 things together, and then 4 things together, and then I taped more things together until I had a cute little box. And remember, and you can see the sides are uneven. I was not trying to do a precision job. So if you start doing this and you hear a little voice in your side saying, you're doing it wrong, I was like, the key is doing it in a flow, okay? Get that critical part of you to go take a nap. And I ended up with a little box that I could put something in. But ending up with something useful was not the goal. Okay? Make sure you understand that. It's the process. I spent half an hour playing with this and simultaneously, taking breaks and putting Reiki into my first chakra in this particular case. In other cases, no Reiki, just this. And I felt the log jam in the first chakra burst, and energy was flowing. Okay. I had another calendar. Excuse me. Goodness gracious. I had another calendar. It was looks like Buddhist imagery. So somebody gave me a calendar because they know that I do projects with classes and stuff. So again, another little box, and this I'm not currently using for anything. It's just sitting on my home altar because it's beautiful spiritual symbols. I've got spiritual symbols from all the world's faiths on my home. I have a particular faith, but I honor all this good energy. So, okay. You can start playing with clay and just see what emerges. Just see what emerges. Okay. You can, if you really like, hammering things, you can do something with wood. Try to avoid power tools, because it's one step removed from hands on the actual wood. You want to, you can make mud pies. I don't care. You can carve, right? I've got a client who gets cheap soap bars and carves, and then her kids get, fun times in the bath, and then she keeps the scraps and presses it together and, makes another bar of soap out of it eventually. But so nothing's really wasted, but doesn't matter. as long as it's three-dimensional, okay? So painting doesn't qualify. Painting is two-dimensional. Okay. Something three-dimensional. Coloring doesn't qualify. Something three-dimensional, right? You could get a piece of paper, you could get some cardboard, and make a cup shape out of it. You know, make something out of. Oh, I've got a. One of my students made a bowl out of cardboard, and then got duct tape. You know, the funky kind with all kinds of designs on it. You know, and she taped it. You know, and she had a duct tape bowl, and it had the same effect. This is my my pen holder. I have about 5 gazillion more cups than any human being could possibly need, and I recycle them at Goodwill. But you know, then of course I got married, and my husband had his own collection of you know, 97 gazillion mugs. So after we took everything, you know, that we didn't love, we, you know, gave away, we ended up with you know, half a gazillion cups, and that, you know, there's only 2 of us, so, you know, plus various other family members. But the bottom line is, doesn't matter what you make as long as it's three-dimensional. My next door neighbor crocheted a cup and a saucer, you know, three-dimensional, and then she put it in a stiffy to make it stiff, and it's three-dimensional. And it's a little work of, she ended up with a work of art, because she's apparently not capable of just mucking around. So I'm continuing to work on her. One of these days she's going to do something without planning it out intricately, but it's a control issue. Whatever, bless her heart. So while you're creating, got some questions to ask yourself, because when you're deep in this creative thing, that's when your unconscious mind comes up to the surface, because that's where your creativity lives, not for the most part in your thinking mind. So some questions to ask. What part of what I'm missing in this first energy center do I want to call to me? If I'm not feeling emotionally nurtured, do I want to try to get this nurturing from the people who are currently in my life? Or do I want to restructure my relationship with them and call other new people into my life? Right? Maybe, you know, my husband or my wife is, they're a good husband and wife. They're just don't have the skills, ability, whatever, willingness to do these specific things that I need, right? Maybe I need a creativity partners, or I need people who are very outgoing, who are going to constantly tell me that I look good and I'm a wonderful person, right? Because my spouse is just very, very, very quiet and loving, not demonstrative. Okay, so I need other people, and so I need to call this kind of nurturing to me. Okay, so what part of what I'm missing do I want to call to me? And what would symbolize my intention to call home my survival power? Okay, so apparently these boxes symbolize my survival power, right? Maybe it's natural beauty. Maybe it's these powerful spiritual figures. You know, that's for me privately to determine. But for your own process, Ask the question so that what your unconscious mind manifests to you is what will symbolize your intention to call home your survival power, to patch the holes in the first chakra that are leaking away, survival power. Okay. And then the last question is, what would symbolize my intention to call home my identity power? Maybe I'm too invested in my family and not enough in my ethnicity. Maybe I'm too involved in my ethnicity. Maybe everything isn't all about being Jewish. Maybe part of my life needs to be about my individual family, right? And maybe I need a stronger identity as a member of my individual, as an individual, right? And less as a member of this tribe. Um, be aware, the first chakra is about identity in a tribe. So saying I want to be less identified with this tribe and more as an individual isn't going to work. You're just going to be looking to find another tribe. Okay. So, but allow these conversations inside yourself to happen, and understand that if you feel a calling to have the first chakra be more about your ethnicity and less about your cultural background, your family, if they're different, you know, um, it doesn't mean that you're abandoning anything. Okay, you're not abandoning your ethnicity, you're not abandoning your family. It's just where your emotional home, what tribe you are primarily identifying with. And for some people, it's their occupation. I forgot to mention that. Some doctors, for them being a doctor and having this cohesive identity with other doctors, right? They're people who understand me. We're on the same track. We're focused on healing and saving lives. And we're coming at healing from a particular perspective. We're science oriented, which doesn't necessarily mean that that a person, that an MD doesn't have to be hostile. I mean, more and more doctors, for example, I just grabbed that one at random. More and more doctors are very, very positive about acupuncture and Reiki and massage and yoga. And, a lot of doctors are saying, yeah, you should go do yoga. You should, it's going to be good for you. And, that sort of thing. So the fact that a person feels their primary identity as a doctor doesn't mean anything negative about anything else. Okay. If a man is, one of my former gynecologists, is a man and Black and a husband and father, and his primary identity is as a doctor. It doesn't mean he's ashamed of being Black. It doesn't mean he doesn't love his family. It just means his primary identity is as a doctor. Emotional attachment is as a doctor. Okay, so bring these questions up in your mind in a gentle way, not in a, I must have an answer. Bring these questions up in your mind as you play with the clay, or you carve the soap, or you get cardboardy, paper things and scotch tape them and glue them together into cylinders or triangles or whatever. And if the urge to put some stuffing in it and make a stuffed animal, yeah, I crochet stuffed animals, and stuff them with, if that for some reason you're just drawn to that, or you want to sew up something and put some stuffing in it. Just make sure that you're not focused on the mechanics of it, right? That this is your allowing your deep soul to come to the surface, or your deep unconscious, if you want to use the scientific terminology. It doesn't matter. Same thing. Just make sure that's where it's coming from. Okay? Wonderful. Now, to remind you, more information at www.soaringdragon.biz, B-I-Z, soaringdragon.biz. My Facebook group, Healing Minds, Healing Bodies. I'm on LinkedIn, Victoria C. Leo. And by the way, apparently there's an actress and there's an Australian supermodel with my name. That's not me. I'm a holistic healer. And the rest of this class is going to be available to you for a nominal fee as we move on. So welcome to the wonderful world of the chakras, and I will see you next time. And we'll have something other than my face to look at, because I know that I've done this before. I've incorporated handouts into the class, so I will figure out how to do it again. So remember, you're the descendant of heroes. Don't ever forget that.